Well, I have some good news and some bad news regarding this series. First, the good news. We have officially been approved for the new series by Nickelodeon. We're not completely sure what date the show's going to air, but believe me when I tell you this that it's going to happen sometime soon. As of right now, we've been told to start making the first season of the show by the Nick executives, and they'll be the ones who are going to review it so that it's ready for syndication and broadcasting. Also, I've been given permission by Janice Burgess and the executives to release the episodes' names. However, I am forbidden from leaking any of the episodes online, or else not only will I be fired because of it, but I'll also have to deal with legal issues as well. So with that being said, allow me to share the episodes of Season 1 of the show Backyardigans Backyard Adventures. Season 1, Episode 1, Forest Gruff. Season 1, Episode 2, Say Uncle. Season 1, Episode 3, The School Bully. Season 1, Episode 4, Be My Valentine. Season 1, Episode 5, Rainy Days. Season 1, Episode 6, The Nightmare on Backyard Street. Season 1, Episode 7, The Fruit Salad. Season 1, Episode 8, The Video Game. And Season 1, Episode 9, Pups Save the Backyardigans. Paw Patrol and a Backyardigans crossover. And Season 1, Episode 10, The Carnival. These are just the first 10 episodes of Season 1. The reason why I haven't placed any more of the episodes on the list, it's mostly because of the fact that we haven't thought of any more episodes to put on it. But don't worry, I'll make sure to put up updates on this post with every new episode that's made. So yeah, this is going to be amazing for not only me, but everyone else on the show that's working on this, and I'm quite sure everyone who's listening to this. Now with that, here comes the bad news. When we showed the Nick executives the episode Say Uncle, we were met with a few problems regarding the content of the episode. Now, it's not the fact that they didn't like the episode, honestly they really enjoyed it. However, they were really concerned about showing this to younger viewers on Nick Jr., so they decided to give us a choice. Cancel the project altogether and pack up our things, or show the series on Nickelodeon as a PG-rated show. Of course, we chose the latter option, although we felt it was rather dumb that we couldn't show the series to younger audiences, as that was our main target demographic, as we were trying to open up the minds as well of younger children to the reality of the outside world. Sadly, it wouldn't be happening anytime soon. Anyway, enough with that. Allow me to go on ahead and share with you guys the newer episode of the show, The School Bully. The episode starts with the usual intro and theme music. Once that is finished, it cuts to the main title card of the episode, which features a schoolyard with all the Backyardigans cowering, with the exception of Austin, next to one of the playground equipment, while a large shadow in the form of a cheetah overlooms them with claws outstretched and exposed. The episode would then cut to the inside of Pablo's room, with him packing up a small blue and white backpack with books, papers, and other materials basically needed for school. Once he's finished with packing up his bag, he zips it up and places it on his shoulders. He then shuffles around a bit before looking at the viewer and saying, "Oh, hi, I'm Pablo. You caught me just in time. I'm just about to head off for school with my friends." Pablo then grabs his beanie and places it on his head, opens the door, and walks downstairs to the kitchen. And just for the sake of it, I also want to add a little bit more detail. The interior of the house is decorated in a fine shade of ocean blue, with small pictures of Pablo and his family on them. Pablo then enters the kitchen area of the room, and there we get to meet, for the very first time, Pablo's mother. She is a taller penguin, about 5 feet in total, and bears relatively the same features as Pablo. However, she bears a head of long, golden, curly hair that reaches down her back, and is also dressed in a pair of hospital scrubs with a name tag clipped on her that read Margaret on it. She is seen at the stove making a platter of hotcakes for Pablo. Pablo sits down at the table and greets his mother. "Good morning, Mom," Pablo says as he sits down at the table. "Good morning, sweetie. Ready for school, I see." "You bet. Today, in Miss Mary's class, we're going to dissect a frog," Pablo said with a hint of excitement in his voice. "That sounds like fun, honey. Well, I made you your favorite breakfast today," Pablo's mother said joyfully. "What is it?" Pablo said. "What is it?" Pablo said, jumping up and down his seat in excitement. "Pancakes with blueberries and syrup," she said as she presented a small stack of hot cakes covered in syrup and blueberries to Pablo. Thanks, Mom," Pablo said as he began eating at a rapid pace. "No problem, sweetie. Also, I packed your lunch today. It's on the counter in the living room when you're ready to go to school. Also, slow down, Pablo. You're gonna make yourself sick if you eat that quickly." "Oh, sorry, Mom," Pablo said with a beak full of pancakes. Pablo's mother giggled. She knew that her son was a really fast eater. Once Pablo was done with his meal and started making his way out of the house with his bagged lunch, his mother called up to him and said, "Pablo, sweetie?" "Yeah, Mom," Pablo responded back. "I won't be home today. I have to work a couple extra shifts at the hospital, so you're going to spend the night at Austin's house, okay?" "Awesome! Thanks, Mom," Pablo said excitedly. "Well, I gotta go and wait for the bus. I don't want to be late. See you, Mom. Love you." "Love you too, Pablo. And you have a great day at school," his mother said, waving goodbye to him. The scene then cuts to Pablo leaving his house and making his way towards the bus stop. All the while, he starts singing a song about how much he actually enjoys school, his friends, and what he's really expecting throughout the day. Once the song ends, it cuts to the other Backyardigans at the bus stop. Austin is sitting on his book bag, Tasha is adjusting her jewelry and touching up a little bit on her makeup, and Tyrone is munching on a cereal bar, and Uniqua was just standing there waiting for the bus with the others. "Hey guys," Pablo yelled off screen. The others turned their heads towards the voice, and their faces immediately light up. "Hey Pablo," Tyrone said as Pablo walked up to him. "Hey Tyrone." The two of them high-fived each other as the others made their way towards Pablo. "You ready for school, Pablo?" Tasha asked. "You bet I am. I get to dissect a frog today in school," Pablo announced. "That's gross," Tasha said as she recoiled in horror. "Yeah, that's nasty," Uniqua said as well with the same disgusted tone as Tasha. "Well, I think it's pretty cool," Austin replied. "Better than having to learn addition." "Still having trouble with adding, Austin?" Tyrone said. "Yeah, Mr. Tyke is really strict about us learning," Austin began. "We're all learning how to add in the hundreds." "Yeah, I remember having him when I was in first grade. He was a pain in the butt," Tasha said. "Well, it's not as bad as having a test every 3 days," Pablo said. "You're still getting those?" Uniqua said, surprised. "Yeah, Mr. Mark is really serious about that. He says it's to make us smarter, but honestly, I think he has something out for us," Pablo said as he checked his lunch bag. "It could be worse," Uniqua chimed in. "You could be stuck with a whole lot of annoying little stereotypes in class." "How is that?" Tasha asked. "Well, you have the nerds, the bullies, and the annoying little brats that ask too many questions," Uniqua said. "Also, don't forget about the crappy homework we have to do," Austin said. I cocked my eyebrow a little bit at that. Then I remembered that this, was officially going to be a PG-rated cartoon for Nickelodeon, so yeah, I just dismissed it and continued watching the episode. "Oh, look at that, the bus is here," Tasha said as she pointed out the bus that was driving down the road towards them. Once the bus finally arrived, everyone got on and made their way towards their respective seats. The episode then cuts to the school, respectively called Elwood Elementary School. The bus then arrived at the school while the others walked out of the bus and made their way outside to the front foyer. "Well, here we are," Pablo groaned. "I guess we'll all meet up during lunch, I guess," Uniqua said. They all agreed, and then they made their way towards their classes. After that, it shows everyone at their classes doing things that pretty much any normal school kid would do. Showed Pablo dissecting, thankfully without any kind of graphic imagery, a frog in a lab of some sort, most likely a little science lab in the school. Then it showed Austin struggling to try and ace a math test that he had, with very little success, judging by it. Then it showed Tasha chatting with some friends as the teacher took a nap at her desk for some odd reason. Then it cut to Uniqua doing gymnastics in the gym, and then it finally showed Tyrone learning some kind of English lesson in his class. This goes on for 7 or 8 minutes before the scene cuts to Uniqua waiting in line to get her food from the cafeteria. She was just casually waiting in the line, as the line made its way into the main room that served the food. While she was waiting, she dug into her backpack to find a few yellow folded-up notes in it. She opened them up, gasped at what was written down on them. Horrible, horrible words, such as freak, loser, alien. Honestly, those were just a few of the words that were etched on the paper. This caused Uniqua to sigh, and then sulk down with her backpack next to her. However, she didn't have much time to really be that upset, as the other students all started yelling at her to move up in the line. She immediately got up, got her food, and made her way towards her friends. They were all sitting down at a round table in the far right of the cafeteria, where they were all talking about how their day was going so far. "Well, I got a C+ on my test today," Austin said in an agitated voice. "I managed to get some extra credit from that frog I dissected," Pablo said as he took a bite of an apple in his flipper. "That's still really gross," Tasha said, gagging. "Oh, come on, it's not that bad," Tyrone said. "Well, still," Tasha said. "Yeah," Uniqua said sadly. The others looked over at Uniqua, who was just staring and picking at her food. This immediately caught the attention of the others, and Pablo was the first to speak up. "Hey, Uniqua, what's wrong?" "Nothing," Uniqua said in a depressed, monotone voice. "Uniqua, come on, we know that there's something wrong. Come on, tell us," Austin said, as he placed his hand on his shoulder. Uniqua took a deep sigh. "I'm having a problem with something." "What is it?" Pablo asked. Uniqua grabbed her backpack and immediately pulled out the notes that she had read earlier. She then placed the folded-up notes on the table, which the others immediately grabbed and read. They all immediately gasped at the disgusting and insulting words that were written on them. "Oh, for goodness sake, who in the world would write that?" Tasha said, disgusted. "I don't know," Uniqua replied. "Have you told the teacher about this?" Tyrone said. "I did, but they didn't do anything about it. They never do," Uniqua said sadly. "I swear those teachers really stink at their jobs," Pablo said as he placed an elbow on the table and held his head up while he took the other flipper and crumpled up the note and threw it in the trash. The scene then cut to a silver school bell that rang aloud, signaling that lunch was finally over and recess had now started. The Backyardigans then empty their trays into the trash and make their way towards the large playground outside. Upon getting themselves outside to the playground, they make their way towards a 4-square spot on some concrete background and start playing a game of Foursquare. After a few seconds of them playing their game, a loud, overdramatic stomping sound could be heard, and as the character walked, the screen shook like an earthquake. "Oh, what's going on?" Pablo said, freaking out. Well, what do we have here?" a voice said. The others looked at where the voice was coming from, and they immediately cringed at who was coming towards them. There, right in front of them, was a large, fat, and really menacing-looking cheetah, wearing a large blue shirt, baggy jeans, and a large golden emerald necklace around his neck. Pablo, Uniqua, Tasha, Austin, and Tyrone all looked up at the monster of a creature that loomed over them. "What do you want, Mark?" Tasha yelled. "Back off, you fat cow," Mark said harshly. "Excuse me? What did you just say to me?" Tasha said angrily. "I said back off, you fat grass-eating cow," Mark said once more. Tasha was taken aback by those words. She said nothing, but instead just stared at the cheetah in complete shock. "Hey, you don't talk to my friends like that," Pablo yelled. "Really, what are you gonna say? Really, you gonna say that again, you little pipsqueak?" Mark said as he removed the belt from his pants and cracked it like a whip. Pablo immediately started having small flashbacks of what had happened to him some time back, specifically in episode 2. This caused him to really lose it. He started panicking and freaking out, to which Tyrone immediately tried to comfort him. Uniqua saw this and began getting very, very angry. She immediately walked up to the bully and began yelling at him to stop and leave them all alone. "You're telling me to leave them alone?" Mark said. "Yes, I am. Now get out of here," Uniqua said firmly. Mark started to laugh hysterically at this. I honestly found his laugh to be really annoying, yet really freaking horrifying at the same time. Uniqua began cowering at this. I'm not going to listen to you, you little freak. What the heck are you anyway? Mark said smugly. Seriously, what are you? Are you an alien? A bug? Or what? I know what you are. You're an alien freak. That's what you are. That's all you'll ever will be. You'll never really be an animal like all of us, you little freak. He immediately pushed her down to the ground, which caused her to slowly cry, not only because of the insults, but also because of the pain that she was feeling. Now, I know that this might seem a bit petty, that she's getting upset by this, but you have to remember that she's an 11-year-old girl. Austin, at this point in time, saw what had happened, and he certainly was not having any of it. His face began to glow red with rage, steam comedically going out of his ears and his nose like a matador versus a bull. He didn't say anything, but instead he rushed at Mark with the speed of a gazelle. Mark didn't really seem to notice this at first, as he was busy taunting and making fun of the other friends. But until, however, a fist collided with his jaw, causing him to practically go flying across the playground. This, of course, didn't seem to stop him, as he immediately got up from where he landed and charged at Austin with every single ounce of fury that he could get. However, Austin had the second hand. He slowly pulled out his tiny little megaphone that he had used and cranked it up to the highest setting once more. Knowing for an absolute fact of what was going to happen, the others immediately covered their ears, and I, like I did before, took off my headphones. And once Mark got close to him, he let out the loudest scream that quite literally caused everything to fly, all of the windows of the cafeteria to smash, and quite literally sending Mark all the way to Mexico, just from that single blast itself. After that, Austin gave a small, slick smile as he went to go and help out his other friends. You guys alright? He said. Yeah, Pablo said. We're fine. Dang, that thing's awesome, he said, pointing at the megaphone. Yeah, it's pretty handy, I'll admit that, Austin said, putting it right back into his pocket. This little moment was shattered with teachers coming and grabbing him and obviously bringing him towards the principal's office. The scene then transitioned to the end of the day, with all the characters all in their backyard sitting down in their usual picnic table spot. Well, I may have gotten a couple of detentions for the next few weeks for sending Mark to Mexico and causing a whole ton of damage, but honestly, it was completely worth it just to make sure you guys were okay, Austin said proudly. Uniqua then ran up to Austin and then gave him a big hug and a cheek. Thank you, Austin, for standing up for me and everyone else back there, Uniqua said. Thanks, Uniqua, Austin said, blushing. Hey, how about we come over to my house for a snack? Tyrone began. We got dirt cups. The others then immediately agree, and then they break into their outro song. Then the episode ends. Honestly, I found this episode to be rather weak, to say the least. Not saying that it was particularly bad or anything, it just seemed to lack a whole lot of, qualifications that the other two episodes had. But regardless, I made sure to jot it down a couple of notes on my pen and paper for later syndication. Once the episode had finally ended, I took the USB drive out of the computer, placed it into my pocket, and closed up my notepad and wrapped myself up ready, and pretty much wrapped everything up. I was rather tired that day, and I decided to go on ahead and get some sleep. However, I do want to say this right now. Thank you all again for your support. I will update in a few weeks when the newer episodes come along. But until then, I guess we'll see what comes up next. As I said before, and as I will continue on saying, please give us your support, and please wish us the best. Wish us luck.